We hear about protein all the time, right? Eat more protein to build muscle, or grab a protein shake after your workout. But have you ever stopped to think about what actually happens to that steak or that scoop of protein powder after you eat it? It's a fascinating journey, and understanding it is key for pretty much everyone, not just bodybuilders.
So you've just finished a great protein-packed meal. You're feeling full, feeling good, but where does it all go? It's a great question, because the answer is way more interesting than just it builds muscle. It's a whole process that affects nearly every single part of your body. So in this explainer, we're going to follow that journey from start to finish. We'll see how your body breaks protein down, what those little building blocks are actually for, and we'll tackle some of the big questions, like how much do you really need, does timing matter, and what's fact versus fiction? Let's dive in.
Okay, first stop, digestion. See, the protein you eat, whether it's from chicken or chickpeas, is made of these super long, complicated chains. Your body can't just use it like that. Think of it like getting a huge, fully assembled piece of furniture. Before you can use the wood to build something new, you have to take the whole thing apart. This breakdown process kicks off the moment you start chewing. Then it heads to your stomach, where powerful acids and enzymes get to work, kind of like chemical scissors, snipping and uncoiling those big protein chains. But the real heavy lifting happens in your small intestine. That's where another team of enzymes finishes the job, breaking everything down into the smallest possible pieces your body can actually absorb.
And that's the whole point of this entire process, to unlock the fundamental building blocks of protein. These little blocks are called amino acids. These are what your body uses to build and repair pretty much everything.
So let's get to know these building blocks. The best way to think about them is like Legos. The protein you eat is like a big pre-built Lego castle. Cool, but your body can't really do anything with the castle as is. It has to break it down into all the individual Lego bricks, the amino acids, so it can build whatever it needs. And there are 20 different kinds of these bricks.
Now, these amino acid bricks come in two main types. First, there are 9 of them that are called essential. They're essential because your body just can't make them on its own. You absolutely have to get them from the food you eat. The other 11 are non-essential, which just means your body's pretty smart and can whip them up from other stuff when it needs to.
This brings us to something called protein quality. A high-quality or complete protein is one that has all 9 of those essential Lego bricks in the right amounts. We're talking about things like meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. Lower quality or incomplete proteins might be missing one or more of these essential bricks. A lot of plant-based foods fall into this group, which is exactly why things like combining rice and beans is such a great idea. Together, they give you the complete set.
All right, so the protein has been dismantled and those amino acid bricks are now floating around in your bloodstream. So what's next? Well, they get shipped out to thousands of different construction sites all over your body, ready to be put to work.
And believe me, their to-do list is huge. Yeah, of course, they repair and build your muscles after your exercise, but they also form the very structure of your bones, your skin, and your hair. They're used to create hormones and enzymes that control everything from your mood to your metabolism. They're what your immune system uses to fight off germs. And hey, if you're really in a pinch, your body can even burn them for energy. The takeaway here? Protein does way more than just build biceps.
Which leads us to the million-dollar question. How much protein do you actually need? Well, there's no single magic number for everyone. It really depends on a few things, especially your age and how active you are.
You'll often hear the official baseline number, which is 0.8 grams of protein for every kilogram you weigh. For someone who's, say, 154 pounds, that works out to about 56 grams a day. But, and this is a big but, that's the bare minimum to prevent a deficiency. It's not necessarily the optimal amount you need to really thrive, build strength, or stay healthy as you get older.
And this number changes a lot, especially as we age. Research is pretty clear that adults over 65 need significantly more, somewhere around 1.0 to 1.2 grams per kilogram. This is to help fight off that muscle loss that can happen as we get older. Why the jump? Well, it's because our bodies become a little less responsive to protein. It's a thing called anabolic resistance. Think of it this way. The muscle-building factory gets a little hard of hearing, so you need to shout the instructions a bit louder by eating more protein to get the same job done.
Okay, let's talk about timing. We've all heard about the so-called anabolic window, right? That mythical 30 or 60-minute period after a workout where you have to chug a protein shake or your entire gym session was a waste. So, is that actually true?
Honestly, the research just doesn't support a super strict do-or-die window like that. As this quote from a big review in the journal Nutrients points out, There's just no solid evidence for it. Now, don't get me wrong, getting protein in after a workout is a great idea, but the panic and the rush have been blown way out of proportion.
So if that tiny window isn't the most important thing, what is? Well, it boils down to two things: your total daily protein intake and how you spread it out. The evidence really points to the idea that distributing your protein evenly across the day, say aiming for about 25 to 30 grams per meal, is much more effective for building muscle than trying to cram it all in at once.
Now that we've covered the what and the when, let's do a quick-fire myth-busting round to clear up some common confusion about protein.
Let's hit 3 big ones. First, high protein intake will damage your kidneys. The reality? For people with healthy kidneys, the science doesn't back this up. Just make sure you're staying hydrated. Second, you can only absorb 30 grams of protein in one sitting. Nope, your body is way smarter than that. It will absorb what you eat. However, that 25 to 30 gram number does seem to be the sweet spot for really kicking that muscle building signal into high gear. And finally, you need protein powders to build muscle. Absolutely not. They're convenient for sure, but whole foods like chicken, eggs, and yogurt are just as powerful.
Okay, so we've talked about how much you need. But what happens if you eat more than your body can use for all that building and repairing? I mean, your body can store extra carbs and fat. Can it do the same with protein?
And here's the crucial thing to remember. Your body has no pantry to store extra protein for later. Unlike carbs or fat, it can't be stockpiled. So if you have a surplus, your body is really practical about it. First, it'll try to burn it for immediate energy. If it doesn't need the energy, it can convert it into glucose. And as a last resort, it can convert it into fatty acids and store it as body fat. All right, we have covered a ton of ground on this protein journey. So let's boil it all down into a simple, straightforward guide with the most important takeaways. It really comes down to 4 basic principles. 1, focus on quality. Make sure you're getting all those essential Lego bricks. 2, know your number. That baseline is probably too low for you, especially if you're active or over 65. 3, spread it out. Try to get a solid dose of protein at each meal to keep that muscle-building factory humming all day. And 4, food first. Supplements are fine, but they're just that, a supplement to real whole food. And why does all this matter so much? This quote really says it all. At the end of the day, it's not just about having big muscles. It's about having strong, functional muscles. Your muscle strength is one of the best predictors we have for long-term health and your quality of life. And getting enough protein is a huge piece of that puzzle. So, our journey ends right back where it started, on your plate. Now that you know where that protein is going and all the incredible jobs it has to do, the final question is really for you. Are you giving your body the right building blocks it needs to get the job done?